Well, Dill, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about goals. I think it's a very common theme here on Footwork. We like to recycle because, and I think in the beginning we were a bit too general and we had these large encompassing episodes. We didn't really know what we were doing, we were just kind of talking. But now I think there's just so much deeper you can dive into some of the things that we've already talked on. So you've heard us in many episodes say have a direction, not an endpoint. So sometimes we are critical of having these very specific end goals and what they can do for your mind and, resolutions, things like this. Kind of all reasons why we start like things like the Footwork 50 and stuff. So yeah, today we're going to just dive a little deeper into setting goals, some of the things that you've heard about goal setting, reward systems, books we've read, all that fun stuff and more. Because our goal, as we've outlined a few times, is to become the best soccer player we can become, the best teammate we can become. When we talked with Nick, these things are not the most measurable in terms of analytics and data. You could measure it in terms of I was playing 6th tier in Sweden and barely making anything to, playing 4th tier and literally, you're just one league away from 3rd Bundesliga. So I guess you could look at it like that in terms of measurable. Right. Specific, I think it totally depends. And maybe we'll talk about that later. But for me, specific, it doesn't need to be specific all the time. Being the best soccer player you can be is not specific. And I think this is our main goal. Many things within it could and should be specific, I think. But for everything to be specific, I don't agree with that now.
Right. Yeah. So the attainable part, I think this is, I was speaking with Head of Mustaches before this, just brainstorming, a little pre-podcast, a little pre-game for the pod. And I think the attainable part is important because the reason the attainable part changes, whether it's a long-term or a short-term goal, right? So I believe that your long-term goal should be kind of ridiculous. Like if I was to tell you or someone in your close family, friends group that I have this goal that I want to do in 5 years, I'm going to do this. And it probably should be like, they're going to think, I don't know about that. Like that's ridiculous. Right. But then every time you go back now, your 3-year plan is a little more realistic. Like it's pretty crazy to say it, but it's okay. I could see how you could get to that point. Then the 1 year is certainly, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's far away, but you could definitely get there. 90 days. Okay. That's definitely attainable. And then 1 week and then just a daily goal. Okay. Right. And now I think if you work backwards like this, the attainability of each goal is more and more as you get shorter and shorter term. And then, but each of these shorter term goals, you have to be super disciplined because let's just say for your daily goal needs to be met or else your 1 week goal is not going to be feasible. So for example, let's just think about like running or working out. Like if you don't work out today, that means you've lost like 1/7 of your week and you can't get that back. And now tomorrow's workout, you can't do what you would have been able to do if you did yesterday's workout.
Yeah.
Now, in 5 years from now, you're not going to know that you missed a workout on Monday. You just went on Tuesday instead. But your 1 week goal, there's going to be a huge effect on that, or your 1 month goal, right? If your 1 month goal, you said you're going to work out 30 days and you skip 10 of those, that's a huge deal. In 5 years, if 10 days doesn't mean anything, right? But in that 30 days, you skipped out on 30% of your workouts.
Yeah.
Like that makes a huge difference. And then, okay, now your 90-day results. Imagine skipping out on 30 days of 90 days. So now it's like it makes even a bigger and bigger of an impact.
It's the steps.
You need to have more discipline on each goal. But the point of the goal is not, okay, I meet my goal and I'm done. But it's just something you're striving for. But you always understand that there's going to be more goals that you're going to put out in the short term and in the long term as you continue to go on and learn and grow more.
Okay. So for you, long term, maybe you push it. It's just a little harder to stretch for. It's harder to achieve because it's making you be the person that could achieve that. So you're
Right.
striving every day. So just to bring it again together, from my understanding, you have all these short-term goals that hold yourself accountable
Yes.
each time to be the person that you need to be to reach the long-term goal.
Exactly. So
Okay.
the long-term goal, you could think of it, the short-term goal is it's just pure accountability and discipline.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I have to go to the gym today because that was on my schedule. My
Mhm.
recovery is good. And like the excuses are out the window. Like I just have to
Mhm.
get this done because this
Yeah.
is part of the goal. Now,
Yeah.
why? Because in 3 years from now, I want to, or 1 year from now, I want to run a marathon. And right now, I can't even run a quarter mile. So I need to do the run today. That way,
sucks,
in a
man.
year
I'm
from
sorry for
now,
you.
in a year from now, I can run a marathon. Now, the long-term goal, why is that there? To keep you motivated on why am I doing these short-term goals,
Mhm.
right? Because the person in a year from now, when I'm on the start line of the marathon, I'm super confident because I trained all these little short-term goals and crushed all these
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
That person is going to be really happy with me today finishing my workout, even
Okay.
though I don't feel motivated, or maybe I'm a little discouraged and I don't feel like doing it because I can now only run a half a mile. How am I going to do 26? The
Mhm.
long-term goal is to keep your current self motivated, that I need to make sure the person, myself in the future, is going to be prepared to do whatever the task is at
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah. Okay. I think we kind of touch on this all the time. I think it's okay to have not end goals, but to have these 1, 3, 5 year goals. And I think it's good to have them, but I think you have to know that it can change at any time. So you have to be able to let go of that goal and not define
Yes.
yourself by that goal and then make a new goal.
These goals are not tattoos. It's like
No, they're
you're just
not
writing
tattoos.
in pencil.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can make a goal great, but understand there's going to be thousands of goals that come before this one
Mm-hmm.
that you're, supposed to check off because you're heading
Yeah.
towards that one.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you could just make a divergence and you're headed nowhere near to where you were going.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
100%.
on the way on the path to whatever your 3 year goal was, you learned something new, and maybe you found like, okay, actually I don't really like this field that I'm working in, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm really good at this. I'm going to go off in this direction. And you can't say, oh, it's a failure because I didn't hit my 3 year goal, because you've just changed what you're doing. It's
Exactly.
like it's something, like I said, to keep you motivated. I think that's all a
Mm-hmm.
long-term goal is, to keep you motivated.
Yeah.
For example, like money is a big thing that people say. I want to have $1 million by the time I'm 30 years old or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so
But
many books and so many self-help
right,
things that preach this,
right.
the
But if
specificness.
right, and I think a big thing you need to take from it is it's not reaching like $1 million in my bank account.
It's
It's
being the
the
person who,
process
yeah.
of getting there and learning
Mm-hmm.
how to make $1 million.
Yeah.
Because once you get to 1 million, every successful person that talks about it, they want to get to X number, fill in the blank. When you get to that number, it's not like, oh, I'm happy now. Because now if you made 1 million, now it's like, okay, how am I going to get to 10 million?
Yeah.
And how am I going to get
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
100? And
Yeah.
it's not you're happy with a number, it's a direction you're
Mm-hmm.
working towards.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time you get to $1 million, you must have learned something, how to get, you must have learned a ton of skills, or you're a better businessman, you understand how to start a company, run a company, have employees. Now how are you going to 10x that to 10 million?
Yeah.
And it's not you're happy because you made 1 million and then I'm going to stop what I'm doing and go live on an island. Okay, maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's a really small amount of people that would do that, but it's like, okay, now how do I do this again?
Yeah.
Because it's a process. It's not,
Yeah.
oh, I hit 3 years, I hit 1 million, like check, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just you're working towards something to keep you motivated on why
Mm-hmm.
you have to do these mundane daily tasks. Because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, you need to know this to get to the next place, to get
Yeah.
you closer to making
Yeah.
1 million.
Yeah. But for me, it was understanding that these goals that I was setting were going to constantly change. And I wasn't
Mhm.
defined by whether it came true and whether I made this specific amount of money. Now, I will say that Think and Grow Rich, those 6 steps, I think they're flawed. Maybe that's not his intention. Maybe that's just how us readers and many people how they, how they look at it and what they take from it. But a lot of the things I think showed me that there was so much I had to do to get to a desire, to get to a dream.
Yeah.
There was so much I had to give up. And I guess you could say the establishing a date and the amount maybe just makes you work harder. But I think,
Mhm.
again, it's just, you can't let yourself, if that didn't happen, if I didn't make $1 million by
Right.
July 23rd, 2021, that,
Mhm.
you know, everything that I did up until now just wasn't worth it.
Right.
That is the
All right.
main thing for me.
Yeah. So I think this is gold. So I think when it comes back to this little 6-step thing that you wrote down and you go through, it's great if you've never really been like you've never had a long-term goal to work towards,
Mm-hmm.
or you've never been obsessed with something in
Mm-hmm.
like a positive way. Not
Because
like you're obsessed with,
Many people aren't.
many
Many
people
people
aren't.
have told me, you're lucky
And
you know what your dream is, and you're lucky you
you
know what you're obsessed with.
right. And you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Like, you're just working at like McDonald's and you say, I want to make $1 million one day. Well, how the hell do I do that? Like
Okay.
you have no idea. Maybe you grew up in like a low income setting. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
anyone. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have any
Mm-hmm.
friends that
Mm-hmm.
like you have no idea how that's even possible. Writing this stuff down will make you realize, oh, I'm gonna have to, maybe start my own business, or I'm gonna have to work this amount of hours, which is not gonna, it's gonna give me very little time with my
I
friends.
like this. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe, and you're realizing, oh wow, this is what it takes. This is what it takes. This is what it takes. This is what
And
I'm
then
gonna
you
have
start
to
becoming that type of
sacrifice.
person.
But then you become, and then you fall in love with the process
Yeah.
of being obsessed over something and
Mm-hmm.
striving for greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think for us at this point, like I don't do this because I understand what it takes to, when you say you want to do something that's, like a long-term goal, for example, I understand not everything that was what it takes to get there, because there's going to be things along the way that I learned that I had no idea about. But I understand the process, and that the process is the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoying the process. I think for us now, we've come to a point where we understand the commitment levels and the sacrifice levels and the obsession levels that it needs to get or to create something great, like excellence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like there's no like moderations for cowards. Like there is no like, I'm going to kind of do this, like half-ass it. Like that just doesn't exist. Sure, there's some things that I'm not that interested in, then I'll just, okay, we'll go with the flow. But if I really want to do something well, like I understand that it's going to take a lot.
Yeah.
And the people in my closest circle understand that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they understand me and why I'm doing this, because they understand what it takes to do whatever it is. It can be in sports or out of sports. It doesn't matter.
Man, I really like that. I really like the just to come back to it, is the thing that you said about the McDonald's is like, I'm working at McDonald's, but I want to make $1 million one day. It's like, it's a good place to start, because again, like people, one, they don't always know what they like and what they love and what fulfills them. But it's so right where you can kind of just trick yourself into being in these scenarios where you're working hard and you're creating money, or you're creating connections and stuff. So like for us, one of the reasons where we started Footwork was to just create connections and talk to like-minded people and tell people stories. And maybe this would lead to something else after soccer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like the same thing. It's, we know the dedication it takes, and we know we want to make Footwork as good as it can be with these promo videos, learning these promo videos, getting good guests, having good conversations, because we know exactly from soccer what it takes. We know the sacrifices that it has, and we love doing it because it's become a part of that, from the same reasons why chasing a goal as a professional soccer player has become that. And for someone who doesn't know that, I think you're exactly right. It's a good thing just to have a long-term goal where it's to make a ton of money or make $1 million, because if it's influencing your short goals enough where you're becoming those short-term goals and you're doing those things and you're being the person that can make $1 million, you'll find out what fulfills you and what you love and what you don't love through working, trying it, and not, like you said, moderation is for cowards, not going just like a step in, not just dipping your foot in the pool. Like go all out. And if it fails, okay, it failed. I'll try the next thing, just like the goals. Okay. The goal didn't happen. That's good. Let me reassess and make a new goal. But I'm not defined by that failure but I was working hard. Like I'm not defined by some of these early iMovie videos, now that I'm a Final Cut boy. This is just, I wanted to make the step. You go all in, and then you see what works, and then you reassess. And it's the same with
Right.
your goals, I think, every time.
Right.
But it's keeping the short-term things constantly moving, constantly like reflecting the person you need to be to reach those long-term goals.
Yeah.
You hit
Yeah.
the nail on the head, buddy.
I mean, it's buddy. I'm not your buddy friend.
Mm.
I'm not your friend, pal. Where were we going? Yes. So it basically, I think the whole like Think and Grow Rich, it's the idea of understanding the process and understanding the process to do anything excellent, anything like of excellence, rather. I mean, anyone
everything
has
that's your
everything has a different definition.
being thrown into
But-
something.
Right. Like it's very simple.
Just go
It's not
all in
easy.
too. Like just go all in.
You go all in, exactly. And like you don't leave any questions of what if. It's like I'm gonna go all in on this. And if it doesn't work out, well, I'm gonna learn from it, number one, and I'll probably figure out what I want to do next.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm like totally in on this and full, like we're going full speed ahead. And I realize I actually don't like this. Like this is not what I like to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm super committed to it and it's running, but I'm realizing this is not what I want to do. Okay, let's pivot and do something else. And now let's dedicate our energy and time to something else.
I find that I really start to like, as we've been learning these things and kind of growing with it. I find that I respect so much people that I see over the years just throw themselves into something and then throw themselves into something and throw themselves into something, because you may sit back and you hate and you're like, oh, well, that failed. Like he's doing another thing. Fuck yeah, that's amazing. Like he just said, or she just said, whatever, I failed at that one, but I gave it my best shot. Now I'm going to try this. Like to me, those are the people that will just always be happy, is because it's like just a new thing. I'm going to try again.
The process. It's the idea. And
yeah,
I mean, we can just straight up say, or Joe Funicello, I know that's what you're thinking of. And that's what
that was one of the guys I was thinking of. Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, okay, he does something successful, but he realizes he doesn't really like it, so he does something else.
Yeah.
And it's like from the outside, it's like, why would you stop that? You were making a lot of money. You had so much money, but it comes back to that. It's not the money. It's enjoying the process. You have to do this. Whatever it is, you have to do this every day.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, just look at Dennis too. I mean, Dennis founds a few companies, and then everyone's like, why did you start a soccer team and do all this work? And like, you're breaking even. You like, everyone sees your finances. And he said it. It's like, because it makes you feel good. And that's just another thing. He threw himself into something. It's just a level of fulfillment. It's using the same steps that he used and the same dedication he used to form a company, but he formed something else that wasn't getting the material value in terms of money that maybe a Foursquare was getting, but it was bringing joy to thousands of people, and it made him feel good, and it made people feel good.
Right.
Like this.
And he
that foundation came from Foursquare, came from those things.
And he mentioned that it's like, how do you start a soccer club? I have no idea. So you list the 10 steps that it takes, and you realize, oh wait, there's 1,000, and then you just tick off the steps as you go.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But like him as an example, once you start a business and you have a few successful businesses, it's not that it's the next ones are easy, but you understand going into it what it's going to take.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're surprised by, oh wait, I thought there was only 10 things you have to do. Now there's 10,000. Like, I don't want this. No. You knew that before you started. You don't need to start it and then you're going to back out halfway into it because you didn't realize, because you understand what it's going to take, and that there's going to continue to be hurdles, and there's a lot of things that you don't know that you're going to learn. And maybe there's some things that you think might be unfair with. It's just how it is. And you understand once you do it, or you commit to something and are obsessed and dedicated over something, that you know that that's what it's going to take. So
Footwork is sponsored by ourselves, but also Kong Fitness and Merchant Designs, baby. Follow us on Instagram at @footwork_podcast. Twitter is @footwork_podcast. YouTube and Facebook, just check out Footwork Podcast, search it. Email us if you need anything, any questions at footworkpodcast@gmail.com. And remember, plug, pass. Tell your parents, Amazon delivery guy, mailman, I don't know who, just tell them. Like, subscribe, review, all of it helps. Danke.